Cool. So we're going to get stuck in to our conversation. Up first, massive round of applause for Koby Martin. Hello, sir.
Thank you. How you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm great. Thank you.
Don't get all shy now.
No.
This is your moment where we're going to be singing your praises today because you've got a plethora of work from over the years that we can chat about. Yeah. But yeah, let's start with your journey. You are a Ghanaian-born artist, moved to the UK. Your art explores a lot of your experiences back home, also Africa and the Western world. So let's talk a little bit about that. If anyone doesn't know who Koby is, give us a brief intro.
I'm Koby Martin. I was born in Ghana, and then I had my basic education, which is like my primary and my secondary school education in Ghana. And then I moved here by myself when I was 19. So my first introduction to the UK was Coventry University, where I studied art and design. And then it's crazy because when I moved I had never traveled, never been on a plane, no family, no friends, just moved here by myself. And when I got here, I thought Coventry was London because, again, I didn't have an idea of, I've never been away from my family, being the youngest in my family. So when I got settled in and after my second year, I was already making art in Ghana during my secondary school years, but during my second year, I picked it up again. I was making a lot more digital artwork, and I found out, London is like an hour away or two away because I used to catch the coach I used to catch the coach to London. So these times when I come to London, I'll network and, just try to get my work seen, trying to get my work heard. And through that, I was able to meet Krept Konan and, there were conversations here and there. So my first breakthrough with my work was with Krept Konan, where I designed the debut album cover, if anyone knows, The Long Way Home. And through that, it was, other people started gravitating to my work. So my thing was to just sort of get people to know what I can do, but I didn't know how to navigate through it, you know what I mean? Like with the whole art industry and even in the music industry. And even in the music industry, I didn't know at that time that you could use art to make something until Tiny Tempest manager, Dumi Obaroto, took me under his wing, and I was the in-house designer for Tiny Tempest record label for about 7 years. So and through that, Dumi, which is Tiny's manager, was mentoring me up until, and still mentors me, but he further pushed me to, not stop making digital art, but like actually start painting, because he didn't know I could paint. So when I started painting, it opened a whole new window of opportunities for me within the art world, and I'll say we're here now.
That is a very fascinating story. And I think the fact that some of your biggest work is with some of our biggest talent here in the UK, and while you were still figuring yourself out, I think that's a true testimony,
Thank you.
Can we get a little... Okay, so your work is described as an introspective autobiographical exploration. How did this focus on self-reflection become central to your art?
I think it's important to know who you are. And if you know who you are, then you know where you're going. So for me, I couldn't talk about anything else apart from my experience. And, my experience has to do with being away from my family for over 13, 14 years. And, trying to navigate things as a 19-year-old in a completely different country, in a space where he's never been. It took a lot of mental fortitude. It took a lot of discipline. It took a lot of growing up. It took a lot of losing people and not seeing them again. It took, So I really had to adapt. Do you get what I'm saying? So all these things seep into my work, and it's just so natural and authentic and organic, such that when I'm making the work, I don't have to think about it. Do you know what I mean? So when you see the work, I'm making the work for me because it's my therapy. Do you know what I mean? They say the most beautiful art comes from pain. So there is a lot of pain in there, but it might have some colorful, elements in there. But, it's yeah.
So were you an artistic child growing up? When did that spark happen for you?
My mom says when I was like 3 years old. So she's got some of my work back in Ghana. Yeah.
Do you have like the macaroni stuck on the paper, or was it more profound than that?
You know what's mad? They used to stick my work in the living room, so that was my first exhibition. I would say back in Ghana.
From there, I love that.
Yeah, so I didn't realize that until I have a lot of conversations with my mom. So she inspires my work a lot, and she's like my biggest supporter. And she always talks about how she would encourage me not to trace. That was her thing, and my first exhibition I would say was in my parents' living room.
Oh, I love that. I think it's so important when you have supportive parents that nurture you from such a young age. I've been having all kinds of conversations about this lately, and it really helps mold you into a confident person whatever you decide to pursue. So I really respect that. Do you recall any specific moments or influences aside from your parents that steered you towards having a career in art and being like, okay, I can actually make money from my art?
I think for me it's never been money driven, because as soon as you focus on money, God walks out of the room. Do you know what I mean? Because art is a spiritual thing. You know what I mean? It says, every good thing comes from the Father of lights, and that's from God. So you can't worship God and worship money. Do you know what I mean? So my thing is the focus of purpose, and I found God through my purpose. Do you know what I mean? So my gift is my ministry. I don't have to be in church to talk about God. I can talk about God through my work. And that's the most important thing. So for me, how I understand and how I approach my work is when God gives you the opportunity, He will provide. So I don't worry about money. Don't get me wrong, it's tough. There's been so many times that it's like there's nothing coming in, there's nothing, happening, but He always provides. You're never lacking. Do you know what I mean? God may not be on time when you need Him, but He's never late.
That's a word.
You know what I mean? It's Sunday.
Yeah, it's Sunday as well. Yeah, come through. I love the resounding in the ground. We all know. Okay, let's talk about some identity and storytelling, because your art often incorporates the Adinkra symbols and your Ghanaian culture.
100%.
So can you explain how significant your culture is in your work and why it contributes to the narratives that you create?
I think for me is important. It's about the codes, and just as if I'm from a Ghanaian home and my parents are always like, they speak English to me, but then again they also tried their very possible best to speak Chi, which I can speak fluently. So for me, it's about the continuation of conversations in a different land, in a different space. Again, remember what I said was, if you don't know where you're from, you don't know where you're going. So it's important that I include these elements of my culture, my heritage in my work, such that when people see it, they know that he knows what he's talking about. He knows where he's from. Irrespective of the place you put me, I can still adapt and still hold on to my origin. So for me, it's very, very important. There are about 200 to 300 Adinkra symbols, and every one of them has a separate meaning. But I tend to use one of them, which is called the Sankofa symbol, and it's a symbol of a duck or a swan. And it actually means that in order to know where you're going, you need to always look back. You feel me? So I'm making these new set of paintings. I just got a new studio in Warren Street, and as I'm making these works, I watch a lot of cartoons, by the way, and I was watching Donald Duck, and it just hit me like I could actually express the Adinkra symbol as an adaptation or a variation of Donald Duck or of Daffy Duck, depending on the context of what's happening in the painting, you know. And again, speaking of contemporary art, you know, that's an adaptation of including popular culture into my work, juxtaposed against, you know, the conversation of my Ghanaian heritage, and then whatever it is that's happening in the painting with the rhetorical context. But I'm sorry, I'm going off topic, but yeah.
That's okay.
Yeah.
We have time. I'd love to know what some of your favorite cartoons are.
Ratatouille.
Oh, wow. How many times have you seen the film?
Oh man, literally, man, like I should be a character in there. Man.
They should give you some royalties or something for
Yeah.
that. Okay, so how do you navigate blending your African heritage with like the life that you've experienced in Europe through your artwork?
Just being authentic. You can never duplicate authenticity, man. You know, and if you're not being yourself, how long can you keep that up for? You know what I mean? You're eventually going to break. That's true. Unless they say cut. You know what I mean? So it's important to be authentic. It's important to be, you know, there's only one you. And, you know, you're made in the image of God. And no one can duplicate that. So for me, self-belief and self-worth is very, very important. And it seeps into, you know, who I am. So I think it's not something I think about. It's just, you know, I never thought I was going to come here to the UK. It wasn't something that was planned. Like, I didn't have a passport when I was living in Ghana. You know, I had my passport when I was coming here at 19 years old. So, you know, all these experiences seep into like who I am and, you know, defines me as a person, you know what I mean? So, yeah.
Okay. Are there any particular themes or stories that you like to touch on in your art or that you like to convey?
Yeah, I think for me, it always starts with my family. For me, legacy is important. It starts with my family, but it doesn't end there. The conversation always breaks out and then reflects what's happening around me and what's happening prior to when I was here. Do you know what I mean? In terms of like historical context, or in terms of like things that are happening on the news, or that I'm experiencing in my personal life. Do you know what I mean? So, as Nina Simone said, as an artist, you're meant to reflect the times, not only what's happening around you, but in your personal life or in conversations. Mm-hmm. Some days you go to the studio and you don't paint, you don't make work, but you just have friends around and you have conversations. And then 2 weeks later, something that they said triggers what you're making and it inspires it. So, you know, there's no fixed blueprint to it.
So memory and your personal history is something that plays a pivotal role in the things that you create. Yeah. So how do you select, basically going back to off the back of what you just said, like you might have a conversation and it'll trigger something in you, but how do you select? Do you have a process of like, okay, I will do this? Or is it like you receive the download and you're like, this is what I have to create? Or do you go through a spreadsheet or something? Okay, this is what I feel like I should be doing. Mm-hmm.
I think for me, it's more of emotion. Okay. Emotion and, you know, again, like I said, my work, it's always family oriented, you know, and nostalgia and memories being away from my family. But then again, new memories also created. So they always find a way to show themselves in the work, you know. So the way I work is really not fixed. It's very haphazard and spontaneous. But the way, when the work is finished and how it presents itself, it seems calculated, but it's not. I don't do sketches, for example. Okay. I don't write down things. And for example, even with the questions, I looked at it briefly. I don't like to prepare. I just want to be surprised by the questions you ask and then give you a direct answer. Like,
I like that.
You know what I mean?
Okay. Something that you capture in your work is the duality of sadness, but also courage. How do you approach, you know, conveying such complex emotions and like getting that message across?
Again, it's a reflection of myself. I'm so tied in and connected with my work, that everything that's made is basically, again, a reflection of myself, because it's taken a lot of your mental fortitude to get here. I don't know if anyone's been away from their family for a very long time, but and then also dealing with immigration, almost getting kicked out of the country and stuff like that. But yeah, glory to God, I received my British citizenship last year, so I ain't dealing with that no more after 15 years. But again, so all these things that have to do with emotion, it's all from within, and it's all, staying true to myself, and that's how it shows up in the work, so yeah.
I love that. We will have a moment for questions, so you will have time to ask Koby some questions in a little bit. So if you do have anything, get your notes open or store it in there, and we'll come to you in a moment. All right, so something that your art addresses a lot is social and racial injustices. What motivates you to tackle these issues, and how do you balance personal expression with broader societal commentary?
For me, it's the kids, man. I had the opportunity to work with the Southwark Youth Justice through an organization called Peckham Platform. So I was commissioned to lead a 6-day workshop with kids that have offended or prone to offending. And while spending time with these individuals between the ages of 13 and 16, you could tell that they had a lot of dreams, they had a lot of aspirations, but they didn't just know how to navigate it. And they're just basically reflecting the space that they find themselves in. So as with life and everything, everyone needs a mentor, everyone needs some type of guidance, So being in that space and helping these kids and navigate, life in that sense is what inspires me to go towards that direction. They've been put there to do time, but again, time can also be used for something different to transform people's lives. And during that time, we spent time making work, and some of them wanted to make music, some of them wanted to write poetry, and they don't look or dress like people that actually can do that. You see them as thugs or like the stereotype, so every now and then these subject matters tend to show up in my work, and it's again a reflection of my experiences.
Now, off the back of that, how does it make you feel being able to be a part of collaborations of the sort where you get to work with young people?
It's important, man. Like Kanye says, listen to the kids, bro. Like they have it. Do you know what I mean? They have the juice. They have their ears out. I have a few friends. One of them who I've adopted as my little brother. He's called Eastwood Dancer. Brilliant fashion designer, and I've learned a lot from him. He inspires my work a lot. So for me, it's very, very important to surround yourself with young energy, because they have their ears out there and down, like to the ground level. So it's always important to always be around some youthful energy. I'm not saying I'm old. So just saying.
I think that's very important. I think in the work that I do, I'm young, but I'm not like chronically online. I don't know what's going on TikTok. So whenever I have conversations with my niece or like young people, and they're telling me all these things, and I'm like, what are you talking about? But it's great to be informed. It keeps you alive. Informed. It keeps you young, and it gives you a different perspective. Because sometimes your old brain might get used to doing things a certain way. Not that we're old, but just saying. Okay, so if there are any other artists who want to address social injustices or anything in their art, or, you know, I guess culture in their art, things that you cover, what advice could you give to them?
Put yourself in these spaces, man. Put yourself, because irrespective of your age, there's always someone out there that looks up to you. You know, you don't have to be a older, or, you know what I mean? Like, even within your friendship groups, there's always someone that you can inspire with your work. So make yourself available, be ready to learn, be eager, and don't doubt yourself, man, because, again, it shows. You know, always have some, you know, people that, again, this is cliche, but always surround yourself with people that inspire you and that uplift you, because, you know, it's very, very important. So I would say put yourself in these spaces. If you don't know how to get into these spaces, just research, you know what I mean? Take time out, and it will come back full circle, because as much as it starts within your friendship circle, it affects the community and the world as a whole. So always look at yourself as a light, and the rest will just follow with that. Yeah.
How do you overcome, or if you've ever experienced moments of doubt, or, you know, wanting something to be perfect? As a creator, I'm like, I don't like how this looks, I don't like how it feels. But sometimes you just got to do the thing and get it done. So how do you overcome that, push through that?
I look myself in the mirror and say I'm the shit. Yay. Literally. But, you know, truthfully, like, you know, for me personally, when I'm in my walk with Christ or in my walk with God, you know, there may be difficult times or difficult moments, and then God reminds you that, what about these times that I took you out of these situations? Do you know what I mean? When you were having it good, not that you're having it bad, you're complaining, but when you were having it good, you didn't complain. You know what I mean? So it's like you have to remind yourself in moments that, again, what we're talking about, that circumstances don't define you. They just make you stronger and help you to, you know, to shape you to be the person who you are and eventually going to be. So embrace challenges, embrace problems. You know, that's why the Chinese love problems, because it gives them the ability to be far ahead. You know, they love problems because it challenges them to see solutions in solving problems, you know. So every time there's a challenge or there's an obstacle or a situation that you're going through in your life, see it with a different perspective. See it as, okay, why am I going through this? What do I need to learn from this? Rather than, why always me? Do you know what I mean? Because not everyone is out here talking about their problems. You don't know what people are going through. It could be worse, as they say, you know, but you make the best out of the situation. You're there for a reason. And then, you know, once you have that mentality, trust me, things always turn out for the best.
Thank you. Okay, I want to come to you guys. Time for some questions. Does anyone have a question for Koby? It's on, I think.
No worries. Is it on?
Yes.
Yeah.
Hey,
Okay.
what's your name?
My name's Midday. I'm a clothing brand owner, stylist, a few other fashion content creation, do a few other things, and I'm currently in uni at the moment. And I was wondering, you're explaining your whole journey moving from Ghana and everything like that, and different adversities and trials you've had to go through throughout the years in your art journey and everything like that. What would you say is your why for doing what you do, and what has kept you grounded throughout all the different things you may have faced throughout your art career?
I'll say my purpose and my faith in God, literally. Because, again, I'm not saying the UK is the end-all, be-all. God could have taken me and put me somewhere else, but I mentioned I found my purpose through Christ, and he's given me a clear vision, which I've had since I was 12 years old, of what I'm meant to do. So if you look at all the prophets and the subjects in the Bible, they all went through everything you're going through, even worse. So what's your excuse to stop? They even pursued and even went further and pushed further. You know what I mean? So the point I'm trying to make is, irrespective of your adversity or the challenge you're going through, it doesn't define you. You're more than that thing or that challenge that you're going through. It's just there to shape you and make you better for the next person sitting next to you, for the person you're meant to meet, or for whatever it is that you're going to. When Dumi and Tiny started Disturbing London, they weren't thinking of a 19-year-old from Ghana. But when the time was right and God brought me here, God connected me with him because I was also working and preparing myself. And he had also started something he believed in. So everyone in here you have work to do. You can't give up on yourself. If you give up on yourself, you're not just giving up on yourself, you're giving up on the next person and on the next person and the next person. So whatever it is that you're working on, keep pushing. Don't take your foot off the pedal. If you need to rest, that's all right, but don't relax. Do you know what I mean? Rest is important. Don't put your feet up and say, okay, yeah, I've done this or I achieved this. No, there's always work to do. If you have air in your lungs, it means that you have work to do. And you're healthy, keep pushing, you know? So, yeah, I hope I answered the question.
I get it. Thank you.
No worries, man.
Anyone else?
First of all, thank you very much. That was really enlightening. I really believe that there's a very strong place for the higher power in art.
For sure.
I'm Caleb. I'm a songwriter.
Nice.
And I have a two-part question, if that's okay.
Yeah.
In a time where social injustice is tied with money and money is tied with art, where is the artist's place in speaking out on social injustice? And secondly, how do we come together to create that change?
Collaboration, man. Thank you for your question about collaboration. And your power is in your voice, and your voice is what you're good at. Do you know what I mean? Like I said before, your gift is your ministry. So irrespective of wherever you are, you have the ability to make change, even in the slightest. Do you get what I'm saying? And if you have people that are like-minded like you and that have the same vision as with what you want to achieve, put yourself out there and collaborate with them. And anything is achievable in regards to things like that. Do you know what I mean? Because one thing I've realized with social injustice is a cycle. It's year after year. It's always happening, man. There was a project that I worked on with a platform called World Reimagined, where we were commissioned, a set of artists were commissioned to create artwork on the globe. I don't know if you lot seen it. It was placed in different parts of London. And I was commissioned to make work about a story of a kid called Eustace Price, who was racially profiled and stabbed and killed in the 70s. And when it happened, he was there with his brother, and he died in his brother's arms. Now, at the time the thing happened, there were off-duty police officers that were around, but they tried to frame his brother for killing him. Meanwhile, he was killed by these individuals that were at the bar, right? And so while I was making that work, I thought about Mark Duggan and, you know, Stephen Lawrence, and you know, it made me realize that it never stops. That's why you can't stop what you're doing. Like, your voice is so powerful, irrespective of how small you think of yourself. Never think of that, you know, of yourself in that way. Do you know what I mean? So there's always like-minded people that you can collaborate with or work with to make that change. Yeah.
I think we have time for two more. Yeah, to the back.
Yes, X.
It's on.
It's on?
Yes.
Yeah,
Cool.
yeah.
Thanks so much for the gems, and
Yes, bro.
you're an amazing artist.
Oh, thank you, bro. So are you,
My
bro.
first
Come
love
on.
for art came from this guy.
Appreciate
Question for you. So I've always noticed that there's a strong sense of emotional depth in your use of color and form. Like I know you mentioned, you know, a lot of your approach to things is, you know, is typically, you know, you like a surprise, but how much is intuitive versus like planned in your process?
With color is an expression of emotion. Again, for me, it's not. There's you know, there's base colors that I will usually go with in mind if I'm being technical. So, for example, Lynette has a constructive palette that she's always going with. Frank Bowling has his palette that he goes that, you know, this is definitely Bowling. Alvaro Barrington, he's got his palette. Do you know what I mean? So my primary palette is always there, but it's always important to push the boundary with the experimentation of colors and, you know, trying things that don't work. But in your mind, they might not work, but when they appear on the canvas, you know what I mean, while still maintaining the authenticity of your work by being true to yourself such that you know that this is your work, but you are just trying to, again, experiment and push the boundary of your conversation and your work, you know.
Okay, that's all.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, Koby, for your insights. Can make some noise for Koby Martin.
Done? All good?
No, that's all. Do you want to share your socials or something? Oh, wait. No, we got you. You can follow him up there.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.